Hey man, there's something every high-value man eventually figures out, not by reading a book, not by watching a video, but by living through it. It's that moment when you gave her everything she wanted, constant attention, quick replies, emotional availability on demand, and still, she pulled back. She got distant. The energy shifted, and you're left asking yourself, what did I do wrong? But the truth is, it's not what you did, it's what you stopped being. You stopped being a challenge. You stopped being a mystery. You became predictable. And predictability, no matter how well-intentioned, is what slowly suffocates feminine attraction. A woman's emotional world thrives on anticipation, on wonder, on the unknown. And the second you become a man who operates like clockwork, same text patterns, same conversation routines, same emotional rhythms, you stop triggering the very tension that makes her feel alive around you. That doesn't mean being toxic or inconsistent. It means understanding that too much certainty removes the edge. And once that edge is gone, so is the excitement, so is the desire, and in its place, comfort, safety, stability, which sound great on paper until you realize they're also the first symptoms of emotional boredom. Predictability is often rooted in fear. Fear of losing her, fear of messing it up, fear of being misunderstood. So what do most guys do? They stick to the script. They think, this is what worked before, so let me keep doing exactly this. But women aren't attracted to repetition. They're attracted to emotion, and emotions aren't logical. They're rhythmic. They're chaotic. They crave polarity. So when your energy becomes too easy to read, too available, too controlled, you don't feel like a man, you feel like routine. And routine is the opposite of desire. That's why the guy who's a little unpredictable, the one who isn't always reachable, who doesn't always react the same, who moves with intention but not routine, that's the guy she thinks about. Not because he's playing games, but because his energy forces her to stay alert. She doesn't know if he'll be texting today. She doesn't know if he'll say yes to plans. She doesn't know what kind of conversation he's bringing. And that emotional suspense, that's what creates long-term obsession. Not comfort, not ease, but uncertainty in measured doses. Let's be real, man. Predictability kills tension, and tension is the seed of attraction. It's the moment before the kiss. It's the silence after a compliment. It's the mystery behind the delay. It's the feeling that something could happen, not the guarantee that it will. When she can predict how you'll respond, when she knows your every move, when there are no surprises left in you, her mind checks out, because now her imagination has nothing left to explore. And once her imagination flatlines, so does her investment. You don't need to be unpredictable just to keep her guessing. You need to be unavailable to patterns that make you look emotionally dependent. The guy who texts at the same time every day, that becomes her emotional caffeine. It's nice at first, then it becomes expected, then it becomes boring. And when he stops, now she feels anxious. But when you space your presence, when your responses vary, when you leave room for curiosity, now she thinks, she leans in, she questions, she starts adjusting her rhythm to try to match yours. And that shift, that's where attraction lives. Women don't want chaos, but they do want movement. If your energy never surprises her, never challenges her, never throws her off center just a little bit, then you're not exciting, you're predictable. And predictable is what she wants in a planner, not in a partner. And you'll feel it in her tone, in the way she stops flirting, in the way her replies get shorter. It's not that she stopped liking you, it's that you stopped stimulating the part of her that feels. And when she stops feeling, she stops chasing. You also have to realize that most men confuse emotional reliability with emotional repetition. Being reliable means you show up with integrity. Repetition means you show up without evolution. And the masculine man doesn't operate on loops. He operates on momentum. That means your energy shifts, your moods change, your timing varies, not because you're unstable, but because you're alive. And when she feels that aliveness, when she senses you're not a robotic boyfriend prototype, she starts viewing you as something to keep up with. And that changes everything. You ever wonder why she keeps going back to that one guy who didn't text her for days, who said no when she expected a yes, who pulled back when she got too close? It's not because he's a better man, it's because he didn't let himself be decoded. She couldn't figure him out. And that emotional tension kept her hooked. It doesn't mean you should treat her badly, it means you should stop trying to be perfectly digestible. Let her feel the edge. Let her feel your emotional independence. Let her wonder where she stands sometimes. That's not cruelty, it's emotional chemistry. When a woman says, "You're so different," what she really means is, "You're hard to read." And that's not an insult, that's attraction. That means she's still paying attention, still observing, still trying to earn clarity. And in today's world, where most men lay their hearts out in text threads and show their entire hand in the first week, you become a rarity, not because you're hiding, but because you're living from a place of self-possession. You're not adjusting your rhythm just to keep her around. You're letting her choose whether she can handle the pace you set. Predictability is also the death of polarity. Feminine energy wants to feel, it wants to be stirred, awakened, disrupted in subtle ways. When you show up with the same rhythm every time, when your tone never shifts, when your words always follow the same pattern, there's no spark left to ignite, because she already knows how this story ends. But when you're emotionally flexible, sometimes intense, sometimes quiet, sometimes playful, sometimes deep, now she has to stay present. She can't drift into autopilot around you. Your presence becomes something she can't put in a box, and that keeps her emotionally active, engaged, attached. That's the real key. Unpredictability forces presence, and presence is what creates memory. She doesn't remember the guy who texted "good morning" every day for a month. She remembers the guy who said it randomly, but when he did, it hit, because it wasn't routine, it was real. It came from a place of emotion, not obligation, and that difference is everything. You don't want her to expect your attention, you want her to feel lucky to get it. And when your energy shows up in rhythm, not in loops, that's exactly how she starts to see you, not as a daily message, but as a moment. Most men think keeping her around means being the constant in her life, but the only constant she truly desires from a man is his strength, not his availability, not his emojis, not his attention, but his unshakable sense of self. When you stop trying to be predictable just to ease her emotions and instead focus on being grounded, purposeful, and emotionally selective, that's when she starts investing. Because now you're not just someone to text, you're a man she has to earn, and she doesn't want what's easy, she wants what's real. It's also about trusting your silence. Predictable men fear silence, they rush to fill the space, they overthink, but the grounded man, he lets silence breathe. He lets moments stretch. He knows that in the quiet, her thoughts fill the gap. And what's more powerful than a text? A woman thinking about you when you haven't said a word. That's how you imprint, not by flooding her with attention, but by leaving enough space for your absence to echo. Predictability leaves no silence. Presence leaves a pause that she'll feel deep in her chest. And when you say no, when you take a day to yourself, when you don't immediately react to her mood swings, you show her your emotional autonomy. You're not here to be her emotional comfort pillow. You're not her on-demand dopamine source. You're a man with direction, with standards, with mystery. And that distance, that refusal to be always accessible, that's what builds long-term value. Because now, she doesn't just want your time, she wants to figure out how to earn more of it. You also become more attractive when she realizes she can't manipulate your rhythm. She'll test you. She'll delay replies, change plans, pull back slightly, just to see if you chase. But when you stay centered, when you respond without emotion or ignore the bait entirely, now she's off balance. And feminine energy needs to feel off balance to feel attracted. She doesn't want you chasing her inconsistency. She wants to feel your stability despite it. That's when she begins to course correct, not because you told her to, but because your energy made her want to keep up. Even your romantic gestures hit harder when they're unpredictable. It's not about being cold, it's about being unpatterned. If you compliment her every single day, she expects it. But when you wait, when you say it once with presence and weight, when she's not expecting it, now she melts. Why? Because it felt real, not routine. Predictability dilutes everything, including praise, affection, even your masculine edge. But when you lead with restraint and intention, every drop of energy becomes meaningful, and meaning is what keeps her emotionally connected to you. Here's what most men get wrong. They think being predictable earns trust, but trust doesn't come from being available, it comes from being aligned. When your energy is intentional, When you move with purpose instead of panic, when your decisions aren't based on fear of losing her, that's when she starts trusting you. Not because you gave her a routine, but because you gave her a reason to respect your rhythm. Predictability might feel safe at first, but real safety, the kind that keeps her close, is built on your clarity, not your consistency. And in the end, the man she stays up thinking about, the man she dreams about, the man she talks about to her friends, isn't the one who texted her first every morning or replied within 5 minutes every night. It's the man who felt just out of reach, the one she couldn't fully pin down, the one whose silence felt as intentional as his words, the one who didn't rush, didn't chase, didn't overexpose himself. It's the man who lived in his own emotional world and invited her in only when she'd earned the right to step inside. So remember this, man. Predictability isn't peace, it's poison to feminine desire. Stop thinking routine builds romance. It doesn't. It builds emotional sleep. You want to awaken her. Move with intention, not repetition. Let her feel your presence, but never let her predict it. Be the man who says less and does more. Be the one who's calm when she expects reaction. Be the moment, not the habit, because when she feels you can't be boxed, decoded, or controlled, that's when she'll never want to let you go.